All right, welcome back. Oh my goodness. Where's my hat at? Welcome back, guys. It's episode 83. You can see through my head now. Transparency taken to a whole new level. Hero Labs Live, episode 83, here in the studio, waiting patiently for the arrival of Rob Levy, Dan Gunsberg. Hero's very own founders, CEO and president, coming on today to talk GME, Wall Street bets, Robinhood, break it down for guys like me who just have their head so far up crypto's ass, I don't even know when this stuff's going on until I get on Twitter. So if you guys are excited, looking to hear a bit more about that, learn a little bit about what it means and really what it could mean for crypto, because it is a movement against, let's say, the institutions, against Wall Street, against the hedge funds. There's a lot of anger around the freezing of trading, the pausing of accounts. And I don't know the last time Uniswap went down. I've been trading on that 24/7 for the last 9 months. So lots to think about here, lots to digest, lots to look at. And Bitcoin could confirm a big 4-hour bullish reversal today, breaking out of a pennant right now as we speak. So in about 15 minutes, we're going to have the homies in here to break it down on a level that only they can. OGs in the space, OGs in options trading, working around the CME. I think it was CME, CBOE. Anyways, they know their stuff. So really excited to have them on today, coming in shortly. On that note, John, I guess fire them the link just in case that they need that when they're off their call. My wife's boyfriend bought mad GME calls this week. Nice. Chris Richards, I hope they expired today, because that stock, well, we're going to see. Let's just pull it up. Let's pull it up. Which one's the screen share? I guess that's Chrome, right? As you guys can see, we did get a nice fix. Oh my God, we're already set. So a silver lining to some of the technical issues we had over the last few days, basically running two browsers now, one on screen, one on cam. And as you can see, I can now talk directly on the chart. Whoa, silver lining, big win there. This is the GME stock, man. I joked with my buddies about trying to short it. You know, how legendary would that be after all this dust settles to be like, I caught the top. But I didn't even open it up today. And, you know, aside from the 786 tap, big bounce, like 150% bounce off that. You know, we're sitting at about 100% off that 786. You know, if you want to trade this stuff, go for it, but not if you use Robinhood. Apparently, they're not letting everybody trade it. And it's interesting who gets to decide who gets to trade. And that's a big shout to crypto. Big shout to 24/7 markets. You know, yesterday I was going on and on about pre-market, post-market, how I think it's bullshit that some people get to trade when others don't. Naturally, I feel stronger about that because I am one who does not get to trade the pre-market, and I want to. You know, like AMC. AMC on Friday had this big breakout. Let's see right here. Where was it? Oh, that's a 1 hour. I need the daily. You know, Friday on AMC, at the time, this looked like a big volume. It doesn't look like that compared to today, obviously, but, you know, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Look here on the replay. I mean, you can see huge volume was coming in on Friday at the close, whatever that was, 19th, 20th, I don't know. Big volume. And I remember thinking, okay, on that Monday morning, I had an alarm set. I was like, yeah, pre-market, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to have some bids. I'm going to just buy this thing. You know, because on the bigger picture, like, look at it, right? Right off the bottom, big volume like that. I'm excited. I'm gonna get in. Big money stepping in. Well, pre-market, before I was even allowed to access it, fucking thing went like 2x. So I passed on it. Said, well, you know, that's annoying. And then of course, like yesterday, it gapped, you know, to like $20. So that's the way she goes. Not a big deal. You know, I don't lose sleep over missing a stock trade. I would lose sleep if I missed the Bitcoin bull market. And, you know, after a huge run like this, which is what we've basically seen since October, after the little October 12th fall off, consolidation here, and then that breakout was the signal of something more. I don't know that anyone really thought this fast, this far, all that, but if they did, congrats, you were right. But sick rally, big dump, retrace into the short reload zone. I mean, this kind of stuff has just been picture perfect. If you're like a fib trader like myself, you know, you pull this up, you're thinking, okay, big dump. I'm not going to short this. That's ridiculous. But if it bounces up into the short reload zone, I got myself a scalp trade. And that worked right here. If I wanted to do it again, no, that's a lie. I'm just full of shit. Drop back down, get up into that short reload zone. It was a bit of a harder trade there. But this is one that I did take on the weekend, right? Drop down, up to the short reload zone. So as you're kind of coming through into this pennant, and today, this is the 4 hour that I'm talking about, very good potential here. But you don't want to just see a candle close above this, and that's like a broken trend line. That's not really how I trade it. It's not how I think anyone should trade it. You got to wait for bullish market structure to appear on the other side of the downtrend. Because as you can see right here, we got the candle close. The next one came right back in. So perfect example on this chart of why it's important to wait. Now, a horizontal on the other hand, definitely a little more trustworthy once you get that candle close above. You can say that's fresh bullish market structure. We had the high, the higher low, higher high than right here. That would be big. So I'm watching this horizontal. We need it to close, if we're bulls, which I am, need it to close above basically 32,474. If this candle closes above that, then it can do whatever it wants. It can pull back a little. I'm still going to be bullish. In fact, if it would just pull back a little, just say it closes right here, then it can pull back into here. Suddenly I'm interested. There's your pump chaser zone. If it breaks a little higher, closes up there, and then pulls back, pump chaser zones here, all that. So that would be like breakout, retest, and go. Because the narrative right now that is brewing at what seems to be an opportune time, given this price action we're seeing on Bitcoin, and I'm picking on Bitcoin today because it's making a significant break possibly, right? So typically I'm staring at ETH, Ethereum, still very strong versus Bitcoin, massive weekly confirmation last week. Something, definitely don't sleep on that. I think DeFi is the greatest application of crypto ever. Of course, the maxis are saying Bitcoin is DeFi. I would agree. It's a financial instrument and it is decentralized, unless you believe in all the, I'm not going to get into, is it decentralized, is it not? All the miners in China. But, DeFi applications, like I said the other day, like how many Bitcoin transactions have I made in the last few months? Hardly any, other than buying and selling on decentralized exchanges, or ironically enough, buying and selling wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum. So huge use case emerging for Ethereum this year. Big influx in capital into the Ethereum landscape. So much so that it's actually hard to use and hard to trade, and it's slow and it's expensive. All that. Dirty Sanchez says, hi there. Thought 2020 was madness, but 2021 seems promising. Yep, I would agree. I'd have to agree with you there. Things are looking good. And let's see why. I mean, this is why I am so bullish on this space. Let's go to the weekly on Ethereum. This is a monstrous rounded bottom formation. And this candle break was a huge confirmation. And it wasn't just like, limping into this, bleeding up into it, barely making it. I mean, it's got this volume, which really exceeds everything except for this bounce off the lows back December 2017 before the big blow off top. So we have not seen buyer interest this significant since the top, since like massive bubble, Ethereum shooting up to $1,400, all that stuff. And now we've got Ethereum basically just hanging out around $1,400. It's not like up, down, all volatile, and then the floor falls off. I mean, look at this thing. It's just climbing the stairs. So when you have this and a nice little 4 hour confirmation, I'd like to see I got my alarm set for 1369. I'd like to see a close above that to really think breakout. We'll see. I think a smaller little confirmation came in here, likely on the 1 hour today. You can see that right here. Let's draw it up. Low, higher low, breakout, confirmed, retest, go. So, I mean, it is looking quite strong, but I, always want a higher time frame confirmation if possible. That 4 hour is coming in basically on stream today. So we'll get to take a look at that. So all that said, the levels we've been watching on Bitcoin, the pump chaser zone, giving a second tap yesterday, and now strong candle there. Want to see what this volume is going to look like into the daily close? That's how How many hours is that? Let's get the countdown. Where is the countdown? Bloody hell, mate. Oh, it's already here. 4 hours, 48 minutes. So we have 4 hours and 48 minutes of trading to see how much volume we can pack into this candle. Right now, it's a little low. But like I said, about a quarter of a day left almost, just under. So, if there's a strong breakout, for example, right here, if this shoots up a little bit, maybe closes the 4 bullish and then shoots up another candle, we really may get that kind of breakout volume on this. And that, to me, when the green comes up above and closes above this red candle, that's going to be like a breakout on volume, a shift from bearish to bullish. And that's going to be really exciting because otherwise this is just a little bull flag, right? Big, big, big rally, chill out here. Bitcoin dominance falls off a cliff just as ETH BTC is breaking out. So Bitcoin has just been kind of hanging out. And if this confirms, could be next leg for Bitcoin. That could be rolling down a little bit for ETH BTC as Bitcoin takes back some dominance. But if you look here at the trend, who knows what that'll look like. But I don't think it'll be the end of the trend necessarily, as much as maybe just like a little blip like that. So anyways, getting way down the rabbit hole on predictions right now, but basically just want to say that I'm watching this candle like a hawk. That's a big level. That would be the first higher high we've printed on the 4 hour, other than this fake out, I guess, right? No, like lower high, higher high, rejected. So as you can see, and I guess that's always a good thing to point out, even if you get the low, the higher low, and then the breakout, even if you get that, it's not like, oh, all in, because that's for sure going to, paint the next leg. But it's, it's pretty good probability. And all you need to really be is 60%, 50 to 60%. I'm actually like, probably my hit rate is like closer to 50%. But because my risk reward is always, let's just say here, if my risk reward is always 3 to 1, then for every dollar I lose, I make 3. If I hit this kind of a setup at 50% of the time, I'm profitable. And often the risk to reward is even higher because asymmetric risk, things like altcoins. Let's take a look at Doge. Doge is looking hot for another leg. 5-minute chart, perfect bullish throwback. 47 was the high here. 47 comes back in, fills up, obviously big wall of buys sitting there. So it's not surprising that it would stop right there. And strong bounce moving up. This is a 5-minute chart, so you can't take these structures quite as, it's not as strong. But as this volume is falling down, and then I saw this candle just as I was making this tweet a little bit before the stream, I thought, damn, obviously there's buying coming in. That's a nice breakout candle, but the volume to back it and this trend down in volume on the 5-minute and then that little break tells me that leg 2 may be just around the corner, and we're starting to see that right now. So question, is it going to range and just live in here for a little bit? Very possible. In fact, I bet there's some range traders right now that are thinking short, maybe down to here, right? Fib pong, and then it's a longer one and then go. Make sure everybody, or is it just like TikTok gets word that Doge is back awake? Elon Musk decides to be the CEO of Doge, and then we just run. If it does break these highs, I'm going to be looking to 117 for the next bit of resistance, getting into here, into that fib extension zone that we're always watching that seems to do its trick most of the time. So, for those of you who are riding on the back of the Doge, keep an eye on this chart. 5 minutes is probably a good place to be if you're day trading. If you like bought it all down here and you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to see what Doge does in 2021, then this is all noise. You don't really have to worry about it. But this is interesting. And because Doge doesn't really have any fundamentals other than, maybe there's like fast transaction times, maybe there's a nice big supply. I think it's POW. I don't know. I should know these things, but I just don't really trade Doge. I'm a snob. But point is, this thing's gonna be volatile. So if you got balls of steel and you got your levels and you're into TA, I think Doge is going to respect TA a lot better than some, simply because what else do you got, right? Doge partners with no, not going to happen. Probably not. So keep an eye on the charts, keep an eye on the TA. And, these fibs tend to just be the guidelines, the guideposts for the universe. So hopefully that makes sense. Ren Doge. Yeah. Ren Doge. Yeah, exactly. Integrating Ren with Doge, I say. Let's go check out Ren. Got a little bounce today, as did everything, really. There's the 5 minutes, so I'm going to get to the 4 hour. Matter of fact, I've got a chart. So yeah, this, I mean, looks really promising. We were almost got yesterday. Let's go over to Ren USDT. So this is basically the full view of Ren as I've been looking at it. Don't need those. Right, so back in early January, we had this breakout of this nice consolidation structure. So any dips were for buying for me. Pick some up on this bullish retest into this reload zone on that fateful Monday where everything just shit the bed. Really, in a bull market, when you get those, if you're prepared, if you can come with a plan, if you can have your reload zone set, your pump chasers, whatever, those kinds of days are gifts, right? Because until that day, you're sitting there going, fuck, man, Ren looks so bullish, but I'm not in it. And I want to get in, but I don't want to buy this high. I want to find a low that I can pick up. So on those kinds of days and all the alarms are going off, they should be fill alarms, not stop loss alarms. It happens. I've been stopped out on those days on a number of positions at once. It sucks. But I've learned over time that if I am patient and I chase these things with the proper entries, as you can see, I mean, where are we right now? Y'all know what it is. We're just sitting here in the pump chaser zone. If you guys tuned in today to catch Rob and Dan, founders of Hxro, they're coming in, more legacy guys, definitely crypto guys, but you know, they have a good understanding of the legacy stuff and they've been following this story closely. So they're coming in. We're going to have a little round circle discussion on what the hell is going on with Wall Street bets, the Doge, GameStop, Robinhood, all that stuff, and really how it relates back to crypto and what they see coming for the future. I was talking to Rob this morning on the line. He's just like, dude, this is just so bullish. He's like, this is so bullish for crypto. So I really want to hear their thoughts on that. They'll be joining us soon. If you guys are tuning in from CCI over on Facebook, shout out to you. Thanks for joining us today. If you like what you see, flip over to YouTube at some point, give us a like, hit us with a sub, all that good stuff. You can follow my account on Twitter at randomtask555 or our account, which is mostly my charts. You know, I put a lot of my charts out on the Hxro Labs account, which is at Real Hxro Labs. So with all that plugging complete, let's take a look here. Pump Chaser Zone is live for Ren. So all through this, if I don't have any Ren and I want some, I've got to follow it up with my fib. For me, this is my trading plan, not financial advice. I follow it up with my fib, and then I'm looking for bids down in here because that's the first stop. That's where it's going to go pull back if it's going to be a big, long bull. It's also where it's going to go if it's going to just dump and not be a bull anymore. So you have to, you have to keep that in mind as you get in here. But if I'm chasing this, this is where I chase it from. And those fills came in today. So I'm actually pretty excited to see Ren continue on. They have a market cap that is nowhere near what I would expect it to be valued at, given even just how much value is locked up. I mean, how many wrapped BTC are sitting on Ren BTC, right? I mean, 500 mil market cap, fully diluted, is only $1, guys. What the hell is that? Only $1. Fully diluted valuation, 585 million. So it's like the inflation seems pretty low here, like mostly circulating, which is nice. Yeah, what can I say? Big fan of Ren. So that's pretty exciting to see. Well, that's not the one. To see this thing looking ripe for continuation. I mean, it just made a new all-time high. Came in, there's just a lot of fear around here. And lo and behold, it's just the pump chaser zone. See, before we get our guests on here today, let me just see if I can run through a few of the things that I picked up today. Those are the best things I know to talk about because, I don't know what other 500 coins are doing today, but I can tell you the ones I'm looking at and the ones that I picked up. A little bit of balancer today. Kind of like making these higher lows, higher highs. This is more of a consolidation, right? Lower high, higher low, lower high. So I think we're flagging here, and that means that I get interested, like I talked about yesterday with Scott. Oh, that's a really ugly line. I get interested down at these lows. If I'm trying to think long, I want to buy in a place where fairly shortly after I'm going to be in profit. Not necessarily, ripping into the highs, trying to hope that it just keeps going. It's often where you spend the next 2 days underwater, rethinking all your life decisions, sometimes shaving it off, chickening out, getting stopped out, whatever, and then just in time for it to go. So try to be the dip you want to see in the world. Balancer, got a bag. One thing I noticed last night, TRB. I think this is like an Oracle coin. And just last night I noticed I think it was somebody on Twitter. So couldn't tell you exactly who, just scrolling down my Twitter and somebody's like, man, this thing's going to blow. And, we talked about this kind of a chart yesterday on the stream with Scott, big rounded bottom consolidation. Yeah, of course, if you stretch it out, you're like, wow, this is like, there's a lot here. So it's all about perspective. If you want to shill somebody on how to short this thing, you stretch it out like this. You say, look how high it went. But if you want to give someone the perspective of perhaps what the future could hold, look at this. Essentially, it's just a big old rounded bottom. If it breaks out from here, and you've got this kind of volume cooking up underneath that resistance, and that resistance breaks, Link is in price discovery, making new all-time highs. Dia rallying. Oracle coin's doing quite well right now. And Teller is just knocking on the door. So I would expect this thing to move fairly aggressively if it breaks from that. So I did pick some up last night around 31, 32 bucks, right around here. Just again, from that perspective, not too worried about the dollar or two here because, I mean, look at this thing. This is just, what is that? That's like September 20, that's like months in the making. I thought it was longer. It's only a 4 hour. But yeah, big rounded bottom, something to keep an eye on. Teller. You heard it here first or second, I don't know. Let's take a look at, well, what else did I pick up today? A couple of coins. I got really bullish all of a sudden. VidT, kudos, Algo, sitting in my portfolio. Let's go check out VidT. I think it's over on this chart. Vidit. Now, I talked about this on stream yesterday, picked this up, same kind of thing, not quite as juicy maybe as the Teller chart in the sense of like the rounded bottom. I mean, there are highs up here. There's a range in here, which is what I'm going to be trading, whereas Teller is looking like it's just going to head into a price discovery. Although I don't know if there's another chart perhaps that has more history, so I won't say price discovery just yet. But look at this. I mean, basically sitting at my entry still. You get that little breakout, some nice volume to kind of stamp approval. I think whatever this is, I guess this was me showing like a little downtrend in volume with a break above. Point is, I mean, what do we got here? We've got a break with some volume, and now we're just flagging. So are we going to be a bear market and this suddenly just dumps and goes to new lows? I don't think so. I am betting on the opposite. But if it does and I'm wrong, I will be out around 1,500 sats. If I am correct, I will make over $4 to the $1 I risked. That's how this trade's going to work, one way or the other. Yeah, so just working bids up here. And, that doesn't mean that's like, oh, I don't see that it could go higher. I mean, if we're going to have a proper alt season, guys, be excited because this kind of shit is just going to all look like an anthill. It's just going to be like, woo, 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 whatever happens here. And then it's like actual fucking alt season is going to be ridiculous. I think we're getting alt rallies. I think when it all is said and done, you'll be like, wow, that wasn't alt season. This was alt season. So tell you're making funny faces when you look at the chart, like, and you just can't believe it and your heart is racing and you made more than you ever thought possible, then that's not alt season. And I can't guarantee that will happen. I always get nervous when I talk like that because then somebody's like, man, for sure, taking out a loan right now, mortgaging my house. Don't do that. Don't do that dumb shit. Play smart, play discipline, be around, make sure you're stuck around here for the next few months, next years. And there's going to be some good opportunities. That's all I can say. Because I don't have a fucking clue what's going to happen. But I'm placing my bets on the long side. Same old story, right? Let's go take a look at two of the other ones. Algo, you guys might have known if you were following me on Twitter last week. Took up a big position in Algo. It's looking a little droopy up here, but that's sort of the nature of a flag. So, same kind of thing, right? Coming up off this, confirming the W formation, flagging right here, and then continuing. Didn't get the follow through that I was hoping for. But I'm actually trading it versus USD. So let's go see what that looks like. It's a little stronger. Let's go see over here. I'll go. Yeah, so this, would expect to see some resistance here. I believe this is all-time. No, all-time high is way back here. Wow, okay. Older coin, but take a look here. Austin, good to see you, brother. We just did Ren. You're late, homie. It's my buddy Austin. We could take a peek at it again, but I literally just covered it. So show up on time next time, bro. How about that? This is a big level, right? You can see here, broke out, tapped on it, broke down. We have now reclaimed that level. Should not be taken lightly. Big volume coming in. The volume is wearing off here a little bit, but if there's continuation here, this may look like an anthill soon of volume. So big level to be reclaiming after losing it. Resistance here, breakthrough, reload zone, like just navigating this level right now. So once this level is resolved, if it's to the upside, holy shit. I think Algo could do really well. Big POS chain, doing all kinds of good stuff. Rune, dragging your portfolio up. Well, then I want to look at it. Let's go take a look at Rune. Might even have some ink on it. Nope. Oh my God. Damn. Yeah, I've been shilled on Rune before. Clearly didn't buy any, but that's a really nice looking chart, dude. I don't even know what I would say about it. There's not a whole lot of history. Thorchain. I mean, is there some crazy old history on HitBTC? Nope. Oh, Jesus. Somebody just please never tell anyone I just tried to look at a HitBTC chart. That was gross. Yeah, FTX. I mean, so I guess it's just a newer coin. Keep hearing about it though. Really good stuff. I mean, there's so much of this that it's so easy to look back and see, right? Back in what was that, November? So it's a little while ago. It's a 3-day chart. But I mean, look at this stuff, guys. And so let's, it's not about look back and say, ooh, I wish. But like learning to recognize when you have these kinds of lows coming in and these kinds of highs, and there's a range there. And when price breaks out of that range and volume comes in, get very aggressive. I like to get very aggressive at the throwbacks to that, the retests. Because if you can get filled on them, which you often can, then you're sitting pretty, basically with a nice tight invalidation. And, as we're seeing now, those continuations can go insane. I'll give you one really good example. eGold. Talked about this one on stream yesterday. Scott Melker spotted this one way back when. I mean, same kind of thing. Zoom back in here. You get your rounded bottom, the breakout, nice rise in volume, and then the retest. And then Bob's your uncle. Hold on to that, baby. Because if we're in a bull, you just got in at the bottom. And the nice thing about waiting for that breakout is that you just wait till it's moving. I mean, yeah, accumulating in these lows is great, and you can hold on to that, and maybe some things are moving without you, and it doesn't matter because you're just loading up. But that breakout, retest, and go for this bull market, incredible. How are we doing, John? Did you hear back from Dan and Rob? Just want to make sure that they're not waiting at the front door. Yeah, throw them a ping. Yeah. I know they're on calls. They had calls through the hour, but they said, yeah, we're gonna ditch work and come hang out on stream. Long or wrong? Yeah, that's kind of how bull markets work. And as soon as that becomes so obvious, and anyone who's not a bull is just like a social pariah, get nervous. Oh, they're coming in hot. Okay, we got Rob Levy, Dan Gunsberg, President and CEO of Hxro, sliding into the stream here in just a moment. I guess the last thing I want to look at. Yeah, we'll give them a minute while the producer's getting them all plugged in here. Going through hair and makeup. We got Rook. Rook catching a little bid today after dropping down, getting lots of buy support at 300. Nobody seems to want to buy it or let it go below 300. Lots of interest in supporting that price for now. Looking strong. ZCN, Zero Chain, decentralized cloud computing, storage, all that good stuff. An old 2018 project. Absolute rip face this week. What's going on over here at ZCN? Not sure news-wise, but they've got some integrations. I think it was like a year and a half ago they integrated with Oracle, big company. I'm sure they have thousands of integrations, but it stood out to me. Unilend. Okay, here's one we should talk about because, yeah, it's not on anyone's radar because it's not doing the thing yet. But, wouldn't it be nice to catch something in a reload zone once in a while instead of just seeing things at the highs? Well, Unilend. No, I don't have my nice fib on, but Unilend, just sitting down here, just above the reload zone. Something to keep an eye on. DeFi, swap, trading, lending, borrowing, all that fun stuff. Sitting basically in a gift location. So something I'll be keeping an eye on. I was in the pre-sale, full disclosure. I have a bag. I've been selling some through this just to, pay myself back a little bit, right? You invest in something, help them build their product. You want to get paid, take your risk off the table. And I'm just kind of sitting on it, investing over the year as well. Pretty bullish on this one. Yop, we talked about yesterday. Nice 4-hour confirmation. So when I see this, whoa, we need white. And when I see that, and then I see that close, then dips back below that level to an extent for me or for buying. So keeping an eye on this one. Again, even if you just measure from more valid price action, just parked on this 618 right now after sort of dipping below and confirming above. So Yop's another one. Kudos, talked about on stream yesterday, started to break out last night. Bing, bing, bing. Little 4-hour confirmation. Really the first higher high since this downtrend. So keep an eye on that. We've got Dan and Rob. I'm going to wait for the producer to cue us in, make sure that we're all set up. But we got Dan and Rob here in the studio. Lots going on in the world of stocks. Big tectonic plates potentially taking their first shifts. Power to the people kind of stuff as, what looks to be a handful of retail traders off-seating or unseating friggin' hedge fund. So there's a whole story there, and I would like to get into it with these guys on stream because they come from a legacy world and are now fully integrated with the crypto world, and it's just going to be a really great perspective. So without further ado, it might be time. There we go. Hey, guys.
Hey. How are you?
Okay. Double sound for me. I'm going to mute on the one browser. Say that again, guys. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Great to have you guys on here. Assuming we've got full sound, guys in the audience, let us know if you can hear them or if anything's not right. Let us know. This is the first time we've had a 3-man show, so really appreciate you guys coming in today. Rob, obviously we had a really good chat this morning about GameStop and Wall Street bets and all this stuff going on. Robinhood shutting down trading and really your thesis on how that all flows into crypto and what it really means to you. So perhaps for those watching that maybe didn't have a chance, they're at work today, they didn't get a chance for it. Let's do a little background. What the hell is going on over there, guys?
It's pretty crazy times right now in the market. I've never really seen anything where at the kind of brokerage or platform level, they are halting trading for certain customers. But they did it this morning. They stopped allowing trading on certain names, certain stocks that have been extremely active. And one of my main questions that I'm asking, and I'd love to hear, is was this halt constant for all of their users, or was it just the retailers who had been buying these stocks? Was it institutions as well who were not allowed to both buy and sell? So it's a really precarious situation, because when you have you've put your money into certain assets or positions, how do you tell someone they can't trade that position? They can't add to it. Is it equal across the board, or is something going on here? So that's the big question for me today, is how equal was this halt of trading across the board?
Yeah. And that's the big call to arms right now is, who gets to decide who gets to trade and when? What are those rules? There's speculation around who owns the Melvin Capital, right? Is it, I think, Citadel? And then do they also own Robinhood? And then they're basically saying we're going to bail our buddies out. And it's just kind of, I think the vibe is that it's a lot of more of the same. Can't get a leg up. The regular Joe has no chance. They finally have a leg up. They're like, we're going to pump this shit to the moon and put you under. And then it's like, haha, no, you're not. Whap.
Well, that's like one of the, a list of 100 things. But one thing right there is that when you think about like regulated entities in equity markets, the regulatory body's number one thing, and any regulator, any lawyer at a regulator, any securities lawyer in general will tell you that they are there to protect Main Street. to protect the retail guy first and foremost. Melvin Capital, and I can kind of get into the deeper layers of a hedge fund like that, but Melvin Capital is mostly pretty much all accredited investors, or it's going to be institutions that are backing it.
Mm-hmm.
So now on that point, and I don't know exactly the composition of their investor table, but a fund of that size is likely taking money from like a gatekeeper, like a BlackRock, whose job it is to be like a consultant to like a pension fund. So you want to talk about risk. How about a long short equity manager who lives in a $44 million house in Miami, sitting in that house, taking pension money and shorting the fuck out of a stock that was basically on its last leg, and shorting it at 36% stock loan to value. So levering up.
Yeah.
And when you short, mind you, the world knows it because that stock loan, that borrow desk, that information is all but public.
And that's how this started, is it not? Where
Yeah.
they basically just spotted that short and they said, let's blow this up. Fuck these guys.
So you want to talk about risk? Why is Melvin Capital allowed to pound a short on a relatively illiquid name with a guy who has been an electrician for 30 years and his hard-earned money is sitting in a pension and now gets to blow that pension? And that guy, and maybe that's a reason that like they end up bailing out somebody like that, but why should he get a fucking parachute? Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
This is horseshit. And the reality is that like the regulators are there and those rules are put in place to protect the retail guy first and foremost. And the fact that guy can't be protected, it completely upends what the whole notion of having good regulation around your financial markets is about. And so to me, that's like, this has really become an inflection point. Like, we can talk about the trade and stuff, but like, this is an inflection point for all the things that we've all been working on and been a part of for so long, which is like, it now more than ever makes sense that the importance of censorship resistance around a network. And like, even in something like, it started very social, it starts political, and now it's become financial. And, a lot of what we've done for these last, 12 years have been very financially driven. And like, it's all coming to a head right now. This is like, there's no time like the present to actually turn our attention towards the things that can solve these issues, like trading and liquidity networks that are censorship resistant, that when you come to those things, there's some level of governance by the very people that participate in it. And you don't have rules that benefit person A versus person B. And like, maybe this started last year with the kind of the social revolution of 2020. And now it's carried over into finance, which is really interesting. Or maybe this is really a product of 2008. Like,
I was just going to say, I mean, you could argue that this started as this maybe is a bit of an echo from the Occupy Wall Street. There's a lot of pissed off people. I mean, more so for you guys. I'm up here in Canada, but down there in the States around that housing crisis, I mean, people were eating rice and pancake mix. Getting
horrible.
out of their houses. It was crazy. And
again, who benefited the most from that at one point,
and who got bailed out?
And who got bailed out?
Yeah. That's
Give
a
me
big
a fucking break. I don't get bailed out.
No.
You don't get bailed out.
It's a big part of it is the idea that the monetary policy, the quantitative easing, this central banks across the globe buying up assets and really flooding liquidity to institutions and institutional desks, and really such a tiny portion of that money going to Main Street. So they see it as all this money making the businesses and the opportunities better on Wall Street for the big institutions, but is it flowing down? Are these institutions who are getting free money still charging 28.99% interest rates on credit cards? Are they making it any easier for people to get a mortgage and buy a house? And a lot of people think that no, it's not getting any easier for Main Street, that it's purely helping Wall Street. I think this idea and this feeling has been building up for 12 years, I think, since the global financial crisis of 08.
Yeah, it's done. It has to be changed. Like the level of inequality is out of control. And and this is what you get. You get mobs that will come in and forcefully revert things to the mean.
And I think that is perhaps the floodgate, or another element of the floodgate, right? Where you have this mob rising up saying, we're not going to take this shit anymore. You know, I read this interesting post this morning about somebody who just broke down exactly how hard the 2008 crisis hit them. And so when they heard about this going on, they said, you know what, I just smashed my rent money into this game stock and I'm not selling it. Fuck you. You know, and it's just this big F you. And I don't know about that. You know, the thing's volatile, and maybe freezing the buying at $400 did help a few people from saving their money. But the point is, they shut down that opportunity for people. They said, you know what, fuck you right back. You guys can't mess with us. And to me, that's a signal towards crypto, where, you know, when's the last time, I mean, crypto exchanges independently may shut down for periods of time, but when's the last time Uniswap was down? When's the last time some of these DEXs were down? They're not. So this may be that, you know, that calling
and they're
card.
there, and this is a real opportunity for us. Like, look at Serum Serum is exchange quality. Like, people should be cranking nodes on Serum right now and putting and listing everything they can there. You're going to get the same experience. It doesn't make sense to not, you know, there's so many components of what has been built and what exists in our ecosystem. Like, this isn't something that is at all like relates to like, screw like whether it's Ethereum or Solana that's underneath it. It doesn't matter. Like, this is about all of us as a community and like doing something to implement positive change and having a real opportunity to do it right now.
Yeah.
And like, so this is the moment where like, you want to work as a network, you want to work in a kind of a decentralized fashion. And like, we all have to take action together to make this happen. And and it's there, the building blocks are there. And like, we're like, somebody told me this morning, you know, they're like, we're in the middle of building the cathedrals that will be populated for the next 20, 30 years. It was so eloquently said. And it's true. And like, we talk about like decentralizing Hxro, which we're going through, and like creating a network that grows larger than us, that becomes something for the users, for the developers to it, and ultimately gets to be driven by that community. And the participants are incentivized and can actually earn to it. And like, if that's our small little wedge of creating more equality in the world, and, you know, and participating in the building of like the building blocks of censorship resistant networks, like, I'll do that all day versus running a small private company where the benefit only goes to a small number of people.
It's really funny, actually. 2 weeks ago, you were on here. We had this chat, this very discussion about how you had this vision, you had this dream. You know, we're going to move into more of a network versus a small company. And I mean, and now you've got this event happening, which is really,
this is why, right?
It's like, it's almost like, you know, the writing was on the wall. You saw this coming, and you're like, fuck that. We're gonna spread this out, and give it back. And so if you support, if you participate, you get a piece.
That's right. I think the time is like, it couldn't be better. And it just, all the technology that's been built, all the things that everybody has had opportunity created over the last year or two from it's being built in crypto. This is what it's meant for. These like moments like these, and it's really what we want to capture. So
now, Rob, I got one for you. August 88 8 here in the chat asked a question that has crossed my mind as well, and I've heard this critique before, so I would like to get your thoughts on it. If institutions buy enough Bitcoin, wouldn't they be able to control this market as well, at least to a degree, depending on how much of it they own? Isn't this market just as easy potentially to manipulate as the other one?
Markets, I think we've seen even the biggest markets on Earth are manipulatable in certain respects. The largest market, the S&P 500, had this VIX. The VIX contract is one of the most popular and heavily traded contracts. And there was always talk about Barclays Bank kind of really manipulating the close of the index so that on expiration, the options and futures would settle one way or another. That's the largest market on Earth. We've seen it in other instances, the Hunt brothers trying to corner the silver market. And the bottom line is markets usually, they always work themselves out, but it is a fluid and dynamic situation based on order flow and supply and demand. Mm-hmm. Now, if institutions were going to come in and buy up all the Bitcoin, they would own all the Bitcoin. What are they going to do with it to manipulate it? Are they going to then dump all the Bitcoin and you know, so how will that manipulation take place? Now, yes, people are always going to try to game the system and try to profit from markets. The market is the biggest game in town to try to make money and position yourself for returns. So institutions can try. I don't necessarily think that they'd be trying to manipulate it on the buy side. When you're buying something, you're putting your money at risk and you're saying, you're putting it out in the market. I'm willing to pay $32,000 for one Bitcoin, and I'm willing to pay $32,000 for 1,000 Bitcoin. So you're putting your money out there and it's at risk. Now, on the sell side, it can happen pretty similarly to what they did with GameStop. You know, they thought that it was a worthless company. It might be a worthless company. So they're like, we're going to short this. And so institutions can come in using dollars, using fiat as collateral and short the futures. They can sell them and sell them all they want, but eventually they have to close that position. And if they can't close that position at a better price than where they put it on, and the price keeps rising and rising, then there can be issues. And that's what we saw happen with GameStop. And, you know, it can happen in any market. And it happens in the ones more easily that are less capitalized, less liquid. Bitcoin, fortunately, is gaining liquidity every day. And it's not the Bitcoin it was in 2018. It's not the Bitcoin it was in 2012. I mean, this is a more evolved and mature Bitcoin market. So even though it seems like there's manipulation and attempts at it, it is continuously getting more secure. But I don't think anyone would say that any market is free of all manipulation attempts.
Yeah, and I think an important thing to keep in mind, like you pointed out, that there's always going to be somebody trying to manipulate it, right? We're here to make money. Everyone's here to make money. They're all competing against each other to an extent. I think crypto, there's a little more, working hand in hand, at least on the project side. But, what scenario does there exist where, you can call your buddies up at Robinhood and be like, hey, man, they're blowing up my stock. I got these shorts. Like, please shut it down. Like, presumably that's what happened. There's a lot of people speculating that that's what happened, given the relationship between Melvin and Citadel. Can you do that with Bitcoin? I don't think so. And so at the very least, you remove that element of perhaps nepotism or whatever you want to call it around just those relationships on the back end. I can't call up Wall Street and ask them to shut it down when my short gets blown up, but somebody did. And, is that they're going to just push that button when certain people are manipulating it, but not others? There was the talk about, we're going to look very closely at social media. And if there's any unusual chatter about certain things, we're going to halt trading. Okay. Good luck with that slippery slope. I mean, there's just a lot of scrambling going on here. And to me, it's a bit of fear around perhaps, kids found their toy gun and now they've got it and they're learning how to wield it. The public is saying, hey, we can actually move this market. Holy shit. And social media is going to fuel that.
Yeah, I think that in terms of shutting down the Bitcoin market, that's also getting harder and harder to do because there are now fully functional and quite secure decentralized exchanges that don't necessitate any, central body that's behind it. And the liquidity is all through smart contracts. So it is getting more difficult to just halt or shut down the Bitcoin market. Whether that becomes fully bulletproof, I don't think anything is fully bulletproof right now. There's networks, there's internet, there's tons of things that make even decentralized exchange function. But I do believe that we are moving in the direction where decentralized exchange will be more and more impenetrable as we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Remember last year with Cloudflare? Right? Yep. Cloudflare went down, and that's the day that the whole world realized that fucking everything runs in Cloudflare. They're like, wow, is it really that easy to shut this down?
I mean, it's what's happening, right? I feel like, I mean, the crypto community and the technology around it is such the tip of the spear of financial innovation. Like it is consistently like 3 to 5 years ahead of the rest of the world, that I feel like. Yeah. And it's something like that, like the Cloudflare instance. And everyone in crypto is going like, told you so.
Yeah,
and like
we need decentralization. Yeah.
Told you so. Same type of thing, right? It's crazy that it takes these kind of major inflection points to create trust. And all everybody looks at is like, oh, Bitcoin is for drug dealers. Like still, that makes no sense.
Which is, that's the naivety of mainstream headlines. I mean, I think we got Bitcoin is now in a bear market from CNN. Yeah. On the first day that it dipped, it was just like, we're in a bear market. It's like, okay, like great reporting. Thanks for that. Yeah. But that's what people read. I have parents like, friend of mine and a parent of mine, like one of my parents called me. They're like, are you guys okay? Like, I just heard it's in a bear market. I was like, it's okay, guys. You're just reading the wrong news or you're reading the wrong analysis, which is actually why I love what we're doing over here at Hxro Labs. We just try to give it as objective a look as we can based on logic, based on actual facts, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's the way to do it, man.
So, yeah. What would you guys say is the biggest threat to, Bitcoin at this point? Because it's obviously, cat's out of the bag. We got big buyers stepping in, announcing very publicly, very proudly each time they purchase another 10 million, 90 million, 100 million. Then you got these people that are saying, well, if the government really wanted to shut it down, they could pay $10 billion and deploy, what's it called? Attack on the network, build this in crazy infrastructure and just run, not a double spend. What's the one?
51%.
51%. Yeah. And I talked to this guy at this crypto meetup one time, and he was literally going around to everybody being, what do you think about the odds of a crypto, 51%? Because financially, there's no incentive to do it. You wouldn't make enough money. But if it was meant to be just malicious to simply shut it down. So I just bring that up because, like, I'm curious, what do you guys see as the biggest threat? I don't know if I buy that one, but is there a big one?
I can give something that's like probably a little offshoot, but and I don't even know that it would really affect, like if you're thinking about it from like just value perspective of Bitcoin, it actually may make it more valuable. But I do believe at some point, and I think Ray Dalio kind of touched on this in his paper this morning, that like there really is an opportunity. Someone I think is going to solve a way to make a valuable digital currency that doesn't have a finite supply. Like some way of working within a system, and maybe it's through burning it and how it comes in and out of the ecosystem, which like very much like when you have a token, for example, that like is an ETH, and then you're going to send it into like through a multi-chain send it into another network. When it lives, as long as it lives in that network, there's kind of like a one-to-one relationship. And then when you want to come back out and go back to like USDC ERC20 from USDC SPL or something, you're essentially going to burn it on the way back out to make sure that, you know, you're just not constantly like inflating the currency across chains. But like some combination with that within a network that still somehow makes it more valuable than, you know, and I think like you're even starting to see it. Like, I think people think maybe a little less and less about like once the market cap story or the idea around that, like versus like what is true utility and demand for this token, and not just about its like purely like its economic mechanisms. And that's going to come, I think, when you have, you know, when you have billions of people involved in these things, and not just like kind of the bubble that we're in that's expanding, but like, you know, there's a lot of people in this world that will need this. And maybe at that point, maybe Bitcoin is just kind of like the hegemon that is always there. It's like the 800-pound gorilla that just is always going to be there until somebody comes up with something better. And, you know, when we're all in our 80s and 90s and they call us like mega boomers because we own Bitcoin, like,
yeah,
I mean, at some point it's going to happen, right? I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime or not, but we'll see. So.
Yeah, no, I've never really bought into the one coin, one future kind of, you know, mantra, and the people saying, well, which one's going to win? I think, you know, we see it with whatever you see with currencies, stocks, products, companies. There's diversity in the world by necessity. And, you know, this is so early in the development. So is coin B going to come along and be better? Does that negate the need for coin A? And, you know, for this point, the zealots around Bitcoin, you know, they're not going anywhere. Those holders, those wallets that haven't touched their Bitcoin in 7 years, like I don't really see too many, I should say, catastrophic risks of like, hey, this coin's really fast. I mean, we already have faster coins. We already have faster coins with infinite supplies. But, you know, to your point, I think, you know, the MySpace, the Facebook, does the first one have to die? I don't know about that.
Yeah, and I think they serve different purposes. Like right now, what is Bitcoin's main purpose? And it's the purpose that the big institutional fund managers are finally coming around to, the Paul Tudor Joneses. And it's that I need a hedge for this debasement of the fiat currency that pretty much all of my wealth and assets are denominated in. I need a hedge. I have a lot of risk. And every day we move forward with this monetary policy, it's harder and harder to kind of pull back, taper off, and get back to a normal policy stance. So Bitcoin is serving that main purpose right now, is this store of value, this hedge, this protection against debasement because of its scarcity, only 21 million. Now, there are going to be plenty of other tokens that are going to accrue value, gain value, and hold value for other reasons, right? We've seen Ethereum now, and Ethereum's evolving this, you know, it's the network. At first it was for fundraising, which was, you know, short-lived through the ICO boom, but now with DeFi, I mean, it's never been more clear how useful and valuable Ethereum is. And it's also dealing with its own problems with the cost and gas cost. But there's other now tokens like Solana, for instance, that are making that gas cost, you know, much more efficient. So that, you know, Bitcoin right now is serving this main purpose, and that purpose has real demand, and the demand for that hedge, we don't believe collectively that demand is going anywhere, and we actually think that demand is going to increase, and there's trillions of dollars that actually are at risk and need to find the best home where they can get, you know, either save themselves from loss, from debasement, and actually potentially even gain return at lower risk.
And just escape from the negative yields that are kind of creeping in, right? We often talk on the show about the trillions, I think 21 trillion plus in Japan, capital sitting in negative yielding bonds right now. DeFi becomes very attractive, right? When you think about it like that, when the liquidity exists. Right now, it doesn't exist. There's no
it just
way.
needs to happen at scale,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
it needs to really have massive network effects at just like a much greater magnitude than we have right now to happen.
And you hear things like, oh, ETH 2.0, it's like a meme, right? It's like it's going to take forever. They've been talking about it, but it's like, what has it been? A couple of years. When you're talking about taking something that was worth less than $1, whatever ETH started at, a couple bucks, and you want to find the liquidity, you want to find the ability for trillions of dollars to flow into that asset, you're going to scoff at a couple of years, 5 years. What if it takes 10 years to get, $100 trillion into this system? Is that unbelievable? Is that a failure? I don't know.
No.
I think it's naive to point at it at this point and say that it's slow, the development's slow. I mean, we work together every day. I mean, there's always something happening, but it's a massive, massive undertaking with a trillion moving parts.
Yeah, that's for sure. One thing just back on the Robinhood topic that I'll say that, and maybe I probably could provide a little more color on the other side of the equation that I think people don't quite understand. I don't agree with Robinhood's decision in any which way, shape, or form, but and it still speaks to the point of why we're all here. But like the things that they have to deal with, I wish they would come out because it probably would shed a little light. Like the things that they have to deal with when they have like massive order imbalances, let's say, or like let's say you have market makers who have the responsibility of keeping an orderly market, and then they can't, right? Because they've been doing nothing but getting run over for 3 straight days, and like they're at their max points in terms of like their ability to digest these positions, and then basically nobody is there to make a market. You basically won. You've cornered it. Like you've almost cornered it, right? And now everybody's stuck. The clearing firm's stuck. The stock loan that is now like taking your collateral is stuck. The market maker's stuck, and they're all going the same way. And it's something that's already illiquid, right? Or historically has been. And so I don't agree with the end conclusion of saying like, hey, retail, you can't trade anymore. But there is so much more that does go into it. Which again is another reason for decentralization, because all of that becomes transparent. Like all of those like middle office, back office things that exist, like come out and tell people. Like I'm sure at some point they're going to come out and say like, hey, of the $3 billion that Melvin had on on deposit with us, 2.8 of it was rehypothecated, which meant that like they couldn't tap funds that they needed in order to maintain their position. Like it could just be one of so many things of the way that the middle and back office functions work that caused that. Does that mean that the end decision was right and like retail gets it in the fucking ass? 100% no. But like
the optics aren't great.
The optics are horrible.
Let's put it that way. And until they come out with a story, and then at that point, the distrust just runs so deep that I don't know what you could come out and say right now.
Yeah.
The lack of understanding and then the distrust is setting them up for a PR nightmare. I just want to pause one sec, guys, and just flip over, John, to our Bitcoin chart, because we talked at the top of the show about a 4-hour close coming up. Rob, you and I were looking at this in the lab this morning. I mean, this wedge essentially that's been forming on Bitcoin over the last few weeks, while Bitcoin dominance breaks down, while ETH BTC breaks up, all these things happening. Well, we have just come and closed this 4-hour, which looks subtle, but it is higher than this high here. And that is a strong signal. Now, you always want to see how this one shakes out. But looking back, the only other time through this wedge that we closed a higher high was this. And here's why I don't think it was a very strong signal. As we were coming up, we actually closed this below. So if this was going to be a bull, why did we not get that close? And then, of course, this just came up, real nasty little short squeeze, and then dumped back down. This one, a little different. We did get that close, and we're outside the wedge now. What you really want to see to say, hey, here's a downtrend, and now it's broken, is you want to get some structure on the other side. So whatever that's going to look like, but you want to have that over here. And that's when I will say, okay, this downtrend no longer exists. So I can't say that yet, but on a horizontals level, live just now, we got a really strong close on Bitcoin. So perhaps the market is enjoying this narrative. Perhaps it was just meant to be. The TA looks ready to break this apex, but just thought we should touch on that real quick because a lot of people are here, of course, for the price action today, and that's really strong signal. So we're going to want to keep an eye on dominance. If this thing ramps up a bit, we may get a squeeze on the alts versus Bitcoin. Sorry, just had to interject there. I'm a TA nerd here.
One thing I really like what I'm seeing is the altcoins behaved with much more strength on this latest dump of Bitcoin. You know, they were selling Bitcoin. Now, whether this was big institutional desks who needed to raise cash to cover positions elsewhere as they were getting run over, providing liquidity, I don't know. But there were some big sellers in there the past couple of days, and we took Bitcoin down below 30,000. And the altcoins, you know, if I'm thinking about altcoins as like a divergence signal, they hung in there so much better than they did the previous Bitcoin dump down to 28,529. So like it was so clear that shit, these alts have bids to them. That there are people looking to buy this dip much more aggressively than they're looking to buy even the Bitcoin dip. So to me, that was a real strong signal that once we do kind of shake out of that heavy selling downtrend in Bitcoin, some of these alts are going to pop off. And you know, I'm seeing green on my alt watch list with percent gains that are, for the most part, outpacing Bitcoin's percent gains today.
Like Doge.
Yeah, can't hate the Doge. We had them up earlier. We'll take a look. We're on the 5 minute on Doge. But I mean, to your point around bids coming in, this is just one chart. There are so many of these. But you know, right here, you just got these kind of rounded bottoms on a lot of these coins. I mean, this is versus USD as well. So even if Bitcoin breaks out, this one may not suffer on a ratio level, but to have this pressing up now twice in just a week or so with all this volume, you know, I mean, this stuff just looks primed. This is Teller. This is just one, but I mean, there's literally 50 charts that if you zoom out, they're just begging to break out. So
this looks really good.
To your point about strength and you know, and we're seeing on a lot of these, like where I zoom into the hourly, I'm like, shit, I missed it. It's up so high. It's rallied for 6 hours straight. But what I'm learning very quickly, and we talked about this, Scott and I yesterday, you know, zooming out and just seeing the forest for the trees. And the best example of that, which I learned from, is freaking e-gold. I mean, look at this thing. Monstrous. And at the time when I was looking at it, it was this nice rounded bottom pressing up into this resistance, had some volume rising, and it broke out. And I thought, you know, in that market, there wasn't any big FU rallies yet. And I just thought, oh, okay, cool. It took off without me. And I mean, you know, zoom out 2 months later, whatever it is, a month later, and it's like, what?
Look at that. Wow. That's impressive.
Insane.
Holy shit.
So, you know, rather than like, ooh, I'd like to, you know, I wish, I mean, whatever, this one has passed for me perhaps up here. But finding these rounded bottoms, and then so I guess to that point, the best example I've got is TRB. So what does this look like in 2 months? I don't know. Does it mimic, you know, Elrond? We'll see.
Does it, like, I think we talked about this last time we were on, Colin. Like, this is where you get, like, you're on the breakout of the back end of the Gartner cycle, and like, does the chart and the price and the hype like meet where the project is at, or what it's working on, or the team, or things like, I think that's where you can kind of lay into it and think, you know, either this doesn't make sense relative to the narrative that's being executed on, or I mean, I guess if it's a meme coin, it really doesn't fucking matter at that point. But
well,
but in most cases, it's, you know, it's projects with teams behind them. So does the narrative meet, you know, what you're seeing in terms of price, and you get these opportunities, and these are gold. These are the ones you want to be plunging into, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm pretty chart heavy, and if I can get a narrative, you know, like Ledger and I talked last week, you know, if you can marry your FA narrative to a really nice chart, all the better.
Hell yeah.
With bandwidth and just general, like how many coins are, I tend to live on chart mode. I'm pretty TA heavy, but you know, that's actually part of why I love Daniel's streams, right? Crypto Messiah, like you get on there and he's just like, okay, I've done the research. This one's good. This checks the sniff test, like whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, to your point about Doge, we checked this at the top of the hour. We talked about, you know, is this going to just go for another leg? Is this going to be a range trade? Obviously, it looks like it's ranging for now. We've got the short reload zone doing its job, pushing us back down to a bullish throwback again. But the volume is just insane here, guys. I don't even know if TikTok's pumping this thing yet. We'll see. I don't trade Doge as a rule generally, but I don't know. If we get some nice little consolidation down here, I'm feeling a bit of that. Maybe I should be if it's going to be meme 2021. We'll find out.
Push in that direction.
I'm kicking myself because I was just watching the order book, and it's the hardest thing for me. I'm kind of like we were talking about this morning. Sometimes after something has pumped, and it's just hard for me to jump in. I'm looking for times when it settles back down, comes into a zone, whether it's your pump chaser zone or a reload zone. It's really deep, but I was just kind of waiting after the first rush of Doge, and the order books were just insane. I was watching on FTX, and literally it just then went up another 50%.
Oh, God. And
then another 50%. I'm like, and I actually put a tweet out about Doge, and then I were thinking to myself, okay, like the meme coin is running. What's the next one or two meme coins that could potentially run? And that's when I looked at Uniswap, because it had the narrative of the decentralized exchange. It actually has users. It's got a strong network, and they're creating a lot of transaction fees. So I chose to jump into something that hadn't been pumped yet in that same kind of meme category that, like Dan said, I thought had some good fundamentals behind it as well. And then it was just one of those days you wake up after what seems like a short nap, and sushi's 20% higher. So
it's having a good day today.
Yeah, it gets into that. What are the little brothers? What are the cohorts of some of these things that are gaining significant attention? It's kind of like the chain link, and then what are the other oracles that haven't really
exactly? And that's actually what got me looking at Teller, right? I was like, I got to get a short list. So what you're describing right now is what I like to term the term echo pumps, right? Which is the best thing about alt season, because each day if you look at a leaderboard, you'll see something's up 150%, and it's always like, well, which one's next? And how the hell do you figure that out? Well, catching that one is an art in itself. And if you plant some positions and you've got some setups and they're running, sometimes they'll pop and you'll be that guy. But the best play I find historically is, like you said, you find the one, okay, that just went 150%. What's just like that? And you even see it in stock markets, right? It was kind of ridiculous. I think it was a month or two ago, this stock called EYE just pumped its face off. And then like 2 hours later, ear pumped. And it was just like, haha, body parts are pumping. But it was literally a thing, right? I mean, we're just humans. What's going to go next? Putting two and two together. So when I see Uniswap do this, and then I see Uniswap do that, and then I look at 1 inch, and I think to myself, wow, should have seen that coming, right? And so, but that's okay to me, because now it's like, okay, we're in echo pump season. Is that what you're telling me? Because now we can play that game. And that's my favorite game to play.
That's a good one for sure.
Yeah. You just become like a detective.
Yeah.
So, Adam, and this is actually one that I am long on. Let's see if we can put something together here. Adam, did get a nice little breakout today. I think most coins did. They were all kind of getting just sold off the last couple of days. So when ETH and everything catches a bounce, if Adam goes crazy, it's an ecosystem, right? It's an interoperability. Things are built on the Atom network. If this thing starts to go insane, you can start to look for projects that are built on Atom, because this will capture people's attention. Dopamine's running high. What's next? I want more. What's just like Atom? And in that sense, I give you Iris. So Iris is built on Atom. Just broke out yesterday, kind of flagging here. I actually fat fingered a bag, tried to buy couple thousand of these, ended up putting in a couple $1,000 instead. But point is, that kind of thing, right? So like Polkadot, big year for Polkadot. There's going to be a lot of Polkadot projects that just catch that echo. So you're trading sushi. Dan, what are you trading this week?
Serum, FTT, a little bit of Bitcoin, just more trying to buy some dips, and that's really it. I haven't gotten after anything like the stuff that been sitting in for a while, like Rook and MTA and MPH.
MP88, yeah. Somebody mentioned last week that thing was coming into a zone. Let's just take a look. You know, it's getting later on in the day, guys. I know we're going to wrap pretty soon, but let's just take a couple of names here. I think MP88,
I mean, I'm in it. Like, I'm in stuff for trades. Like, I have an idea, and it's either going to play all the way out or not. And I'll gamma trade my way out of some of it, like when things go parabolic, but I'm not sitting there actively getting in and out of stuff. I just have other responsibilities at this point.
Yeah. Who has time for that anyway?
Yeah.
I am blessed with the opportunity to do a little bit of both, but not everybody gets that privilege.
Yeah, when it's part of your job, there you
go.
There you go. It's great.
It's a pretty sweet gig. So shout out to you guys. But here we go. Like, sitting in the pump chaser zone, MPH. I think if I am gonna use this chart tool all the time, and I'm saying I want to catch this, I may just have to.
I had so many positions in 2017 that I kind of had the opposite problem, where like I got out of them way too early because, I've always been a trader that liked to ring the cash register.
Yeah, that's me.
And there's nothing wrong with it. And but now it's, and it's more fitting for, my other responsibilities, but I really want to try to get stuff on early ahead of a narrative and, kind of develop an opinion about something and, keep my ear to the ground on things and get in them. And, I've been a big believer in like Serum, and it gets so much easier when you have these positions on, if they're against you, if you really understand what's behind it. And sometimes you still capture them pretty early. And, Colin, you and I have talked about it. Like, I really don't look for things like right out of the gate. I always wait for that, the Gartner cycle, like the first boom bust. Yeah, that exactly. And then the curl. Yep. Yeah. And so basically the older I've gotten, the better I've gotten at being more patient for those. But then when they're there, like, it gets so easy to really strap it on and like be a little less price sensitive. Like, it's another thing you want to talk about my faults. Like, as a trader, like trying to be too perfect on price and just like learning how to ape and not ape like an absolute idiot, but like throughout, like market order in to make sure that I have like at least have secured some level of a bag, and then have ammo to like really add and also be a part of like when it does move, like, maybe it's my personality, but like, I'm the one that wants to be at the front of the pack, like helping to push it. So I want to have ammunition to get in there and buy the momentum as well.
Yeah, fire that little market buy at the breakout to push it.
Yeah, and then once I have that on, maybe that's what's coming off when things start to subside. But my core position that I had on early, like if you get good prices in something, like you're gonna need to chop. You want people to chop your hands off to like have you get rid of it. So.
And that's the thing. And that's actually, we've talked about this so many times on stream around, getting in at your level, having your narrative set. I'm pretty quick to take a half position back generally, where it's like, hey, I'm up 100%. I'm going to take back my initial. And now it's like you say, like now I can ride with fairly strong conviction. And the nice thing about this market is I can just rotate that.
Yeah.
Put in 500, turn it to 1,000, take 500 back, put in something else, get that 500 up. Like that's a bit of what I'm doing most of the time. But this thing, kudos, is kind of like that what do you call it? The Gartner cycle at the start.
Yeah, the Gartner cycle. Yeah.
And we saw that with another, young DeFi project recently. I mean, these things mirror images, perhaps, right here, right? Coming out, and you just get that initial little pre-sale, shakeout, whatever, and then it's just okay. Let's game time. So
Yep.
this is the kind of
Love
stuff
that.
we're looking for here as well. Appreciate you guys coming on today. I'm gonna, I think we're probably close to a wrap. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on while we're here today? Any hot things coming up?
You know what? I think, to me right now, I think DeFi in general is in such a perfect position to grow and accrue value that I think that one of the easiest ways to take advantage of that is to just buy a broader basket of DeFi tokens and just put it away, not even think about it. It takes like the guesswork about who's going to be the winner, who's going to not succeed. Buy a basket of the top ones, like on FTX, they have a DeFi index, and just secure that bag and put it away. And I think everybody, like today, all the stuff we're seeing right now in the broader markets, it makes me that much more confident and aggressive with that position alone. And that's kind of like my main takeaway from what we've seen in the markets the past couple of days.
Yeah, I should give him a shout out because we've worked with him before. He's a good friend. He's actually the reason that I work here. I'm going to give him the shout right now. Joel Birch, founder of Stacked Invest, and they have a DeFi index as well. So there's a few ways to gain exposure to this in a more passive way. And I'm actually kicking myself because, look at this DeFi perp. We had some nice bleed outs. DeFi was not dead. And, November, October, everyone's like, oh, it was just a bubble. We all kind of talked about it. We're like, it's probably just a test pump, guys. And so, but I gotta get that. I don't think it's too late if I'm thinking 1-2 years out. If I'm rushing in to buy this and then hoping it's like up, perfect. Okay, cool. But yeah, Stacked Invest, you can set up a basket API to your Binance account, whatever, and you just get that exposure, auto rebalancing. So that's something I've been meaning to do. I think it's probably time. Whatever. I'm gonna have to start small now because it's up so much. We'll see if I can get a pullback. But and then FTX obviously with the DeFi perp is in just explosive price discovery right now with rising volume every week. It's pretty exciting to think. This is our range right now, what fits on the chart, but where's what is this 4% market dominance for DeFi right now? So here's 8, here's 12.
It has a lot. It's so early.
It's ridiculous.
And that's just within our bubble. Like I was with a few very experienced traders that I know here, and they're literally just they're on the pulse of the financial markets. These guys are big market makers and and options and stuff, and they're just really getting their head around Bitcoin. We're so far ahead of. It's so early, and we're going to go through. DeFi is going to go through a big boom bust again. It'll probably have 2 more before the rest of the world really catches up to it. But we know that it's needed, right? But I just, like you said, as a function of dominance, it has such a long way to go, and I just think that it's so beyond early.
It's a weird place to call tops. Let's put it that way.
Very, very weird. Keep before you ever do that, zoom out. Just keep zooming out, and also just know that the technologies that are being built right now are mostly first movers, and they're not. What you see today, it's you saw AOL with dial-up in 1990 or whatever, and it's not what you were doing 5-6 years later.
No, not even close. Even in high school, I had a flip phone, like a Nokia. I'm not even that old, but I'm, I was a flip phone kid.
Yeah.
What's FaceTime?
I was a back phone kid, I think. I think I was a Zach Morris phone kid.
Big old 80s, yeah. So I still struggle with Uniswap sometimes, where I'm just transaction failed. Thank you. $20 for the service. To me, that's just okay, we're kind of early still. I'm not.
Dude, it is not. Yeah. That thing is not for trading. I don't care.
No.
I'll flat out say it. Solana, L1, that thing is built for trading. Ethereum, not built for trading. Yeah. Unbelievable banking layer, composability, banking, things that don't require ultra high throughput, cost efficiency.
Well,
not
yeah,
like look
it's
at all the
not
traders in
functional.
the industry who are like building. All the biggest traders, like they're going to Solana to build. They're not doing it on Ethereum. Sorry, like I'm not saying that Ethereum doesn't have its use cases, but it isn't for trading.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it's not, and no longer, thankfully, is it this like ETH killer narrative. It's more just like ETH complementer, right? How can they work together? Let's settle on one. Let's work on the other. And that goes back to that point I was making about, the future is friendly for a number of opportunities and coins and platforms, projects. I was farming friggin' pineapples on don'tbuymeme.com so that I could then take them and redeem them for tickets to win an NFT. I was like, sick, I got 9,000 pineapples. I'm going to go, and it's 888 each. And then to redeem them, the transaction cost me $15. I'm like, so suddenly it's a $15 friggin' lotto ticket. That's not free. That's not, and then I just stopped. I was like, I'm just sitting on those pineapples now. Fuck it. But, to your point, it's not functional. So really exciting to see some other networks growing to a point where, there was like 100 ETH killers back in 2017, but none of them got the network effects.
Yeah, you said it right. I don't think that's the tribalism is not the answer here.
Yeah,
like,
no,
you build to what is the best, the best technology to support what it is that your needs are. And like Uniswap's amazing for what it is in the moment, and it'll iterate 1,000 different ways before it turns into something that actually is functional. And if ETH can't solve the gas issues, like I don't, not really understanding how like the band-aid of the L2s, but I can tell you that like it's not for trading.
No, it's not right now. And I said this, like 1,000x throughput, and it'll still fill up. Yeah, that'll fill up. And so
like, go look at what the throughput
solutions.
is, right? Of the New York Stock Exchange. Like you want to replace that, that's not the solution.
Not through a linear bottleneck kind of style. And that's, again, it's not a knock on it. I think it's going to be kind of like perhaps baseline to this whole DeFi narrative. It could still very much build that, because it's going to be, for now at least, until it's not, the strongest secure network. So building on it on a settlement layer is going to be a thing. So
totally
brilliant, guys. Well, hey, I get to hang out with you guys all the time. We don't always get to have you on here, but going forward, I'm really excited to hear that you guys are more interested in cutting back on for some of these conversations. I always like to know what you're doing in the market to make money, because you've been doing it longer than me. And if you're going to learn from someone who knows more than you do. So that's my mantra. Great to have you guys on here today. Appreciate the chat, Rob.
Thanks, man. This is wonderful.
It was great. And for those of you watching, if you came in from CCI, if you joined us on Periscope, if you were on TradingView over here on YouTube, really appreciate all of you guys. And if you want to hit us with a like and a sub on YouTube, that'll let us know that you're here to stay and that you enjoy what we're doing. You can follow us on Twitter at Real Hero Labs. You can follow me on Twitter at RandomTask555. Really appreciate you guys coming by today. We'll be off tomorrow as I am moving and I need to take down my whole setup. It's going to be a nightmare. But we'll be back up live on Monday at the normal time, assuming everything goes well. And look forward to seeing you guys next time. So until next time, always play from a position of strength, and have a great day.